Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Much of the debate, discussion and discourse on the farmers' protests so far was focused on Punjabis, and there too especially the Sikhs, because they were the best organized, they were the most numerous, they also were the most colorful, and they were also the most accessible and articulate. Now, this remained the position until the unfortunate events of January 26, when that part of the movement suffered a setback because of the events that took place at Red Fort. Now, at that point, a lot of the people, particularly people in the government or people who support the government, would have believed or had believed that now this farmers movement will peter out. But as with these things, everything is governed by the law of unintended consequences, which is what happened in this case also, when a second prominent section arose on the other frontiers of Delhi, that is Delhi's borders across the Yamuna river abutting Uttar Pradesh. So, these are farmers mostly from western Uttar Pradesh, which also rose in defiance. They were being driven out, they had thinned out. Then it looked like the police, central police forces, UP police were planning some kind of a big operation or assault or an operation to drive them out, and that is when we know that Rakesh Tikait cried, and that video went viral, and that roused a lot of support for him in Haryana and Uttar Pradesh. Now, as you've been watching this, you've been also listening to some terms that occasionally appear in our debate and then disappear. So, Khap Panchayat, Maha Panchayat, Gotra, who's who, and about the caste called Jats. So, as Rakesh Tikait, his brother Naresh Tikait, also their Khap, the Balyan Khap as it's called, that is their Gotra or Khap, and the Maha Panchayat of the Jat groups took place today in Muzaffarnagar. Focus fell now or shifted now onto the Jats, that is the other large farming community around Delhi. Now, this gives us an opportunity also to look at this fascinating aspect of Indian politics, Jat politics. Now, look at the map of northwest India. See where Delhi is positioned. See where I stand right now. Delhi is actually an extension from various directions of what we might have called the Jat land. See around Delhi. Around Delhi is Haryana, which has a large population of Jats. Around Delhi is Rajasthan, just beyond Haryana, which has a large population of Jats. And around Delhi is Uttar Pradesh, which has a large population of Jats. Now, if you go beyond Haryana, that's a bit far. In Punjab also there are Jats, they are mostly Jat Sikhs, but they are Jats nevertheless. So, Delhi, which does not have any dominant community, caste, group, either ethnically or in terms of caste, actually is an island in the middle of this large Jat land. Now, if you look at the Jats of India, the last caste census in India was conducted in 1931. So, we can only look at that census and make projections, and there are many projections. So, it does look like that at this point there may be about 3.5 crore Jats in India, which is not a lot of people, which is just over 2% of India's population scattered, but a bulk of them are in these states around Delhi. So, if you see carefully, generally about out of these 1.5 crores, 1 crore and 5 lakhs, crore and 10 lakhs are estimated to be in Rajasthan. That has the largest population for Jats in India. That's a surprise. Most people think Jat means Haryana. In Haryana, Jats are dominant, but in Rajasthan, if you take out the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, Jats are the largest caste group. They are 12%. After that, the Gujars and the Rajputs are about 9% each. In Punjab, they'd be about 75 to 80 lakhs, but those are mostly Sikhs, not all Sikhs. The Jakhar family is also from Punjab, but they are mostly 6. Then UP has about 70-75 lakhs estimated Jats. Most of those Jats live in the districts of western UP. Jats everywhere are mostly a farming community. Similarly, in Rajasthan, they are more spread out, but again, many more of them are found in districts closer to Delhi, Jhunjhunu, Sikar, etc., etc. Although you also find quite a few of them, say, in far away Badmer. In fact, the Badmer MP right now for the BJP is a Jat. He is also a Minister of State in the Modi cabinet. Another demographic to look at in terms of the Jats is that they are about 50% Hindu, I'd say 20% Sikhs, and 34-35% Muslim. That is, if you see all the entire Jat population, because there are a lot of Jats in Pakistan. In fact, Pakistan's current army chief, General Bajwa, is a Jat. So, Jats are spread out, but in India and in the states around Delhi, you see these population groups. Now, what's happened with the Jats is, over the past 10 years or so, but particularly since the rise of Narendra Modi and Narendra Modi or Modi Shah BJP, for about 50 years, Jats have had an autonomous mindset when it comes to politics. So, in these states, they have their own parties, their own leaders. In Haryana, the first Jat leader to rise was Devilal. Took him some time to get power. Bansilal, he rose within the Congress party. In Uttar Pradesh, there was Charan Singh. All of these leaders, they were titans in their own right. They built their dynasties, which are now in their third or in some cases fourth generation, but still have some power. So, what happened with the rise of the Modi Shah BJP was that willy-nilly the Jat voters lost their autonomous impulse and they began voting for the BJP in a large way, mainly on the nationalist slogan, say in Rajasthan and Haryana, but in Uttar Pradesh, part nationalist, part religious, because in Uttar Pradesh live nearly 5 crore Muslims. The regions of Uttar Pradesh where Muslims are most numerous are also the districts of western Uttar Pradesh where the Jats live. So, it was easy for the BJP, as we saw with Muzaffarnagar riots of 2013, for BJP and its supporters to create a Jat versus Muslim discord there. There were riots. After the riots, Jats there in western UP voted en masse for the BJP. Now, BJP itself worked very hard at getting the Jat vote, because without that, we told you Jats are the largest caste group besides the SC/STs in Rajasthan. So, BJP knew that it will not be able to rule Rajasthan without the Jat vote. So, BJP worked very hard right from the Advani Vajpayee times to build a base in the Jat population. So, for example, they brought in Dara Singh as president of All India Jat Mahasabha and made him a member of parliament. Then they brought in Dharmendra. These are both Jat Sikhs from Punjab, but they are Jats because there is religion, but there is also caste. Remember, when Navjot Singh Sidhu hugs General Bajwa, it's also two Jats hugging each other, as I think he said at that point. So, that camaraderie or that brotherhood is also there. Now, what happened as a result was, since Jats stopped voting for their own leaders, Jats had a loss of power. That power became part of the larger power of the BJP. Now, Jats for a long time had not even allowed their power to be subsumed by the Congress party. So, Charan Singh in Uttar Pradesh, Devilal earlier in Haryana, later Bansilal, who also set up his own party, Haryana Vikas Party. All these were leaders who came out as a mindset of challenging the Congress party or challenging the centre. Charan Singh also was a leader of the Congress party. He was a Gandhian, just like Devilal, the founder of the big Jat dynasty. But at some point, both thought, like many other Jat leaders, that they could get some power or control power or dominate power in their own regions, because their caste groups were dominant, they were land owning, they were leading the agrarian economy. So, they could then also get co-opt other groups to vote for them and punch above their weights. And so over the decades, Jats of the north have been punching above their weight in national politics. And I'll give you an example. I told you the ballpark numbers of Jats in India, just about 2%. I also told you how scattered they are. So they might be at say about 66, 68 lakh people in Haryana. They might be a bit less than 25% of Haryana's population or thereabouts. But that is probably the largest they have as a percentage of the population, because Rajasthan's population is nearly 7 crores, Jats are just over 1 crore, UP's population is over 23 crores, Jats are just about 75 to 80 lakhs. So still they were able to give India one Prime Minister, that is Chaudhry Charan Singh, albeit for a very short time. His was the only prime ministership or the only government that did not even survive long enough to face a vote of confidence in Lok Sabha. That was after Janata Party broke and Mrs. Gandhi sold him a lemon or a lollipop and said, I will support you from outside, you become Prime Minister. He became Prime Minister. Within 23 days, she said she wasn't going to support him. So he did not even face his vote of confidence in Parliament. But before that, he became Home Minister of India. He was in Morarji Desai's government. He was powerful enough to send Mrs. Gandhi to Tihar jail, even if for a very short while. So a very tall, powerful leader and somebody who is widely respected as one of the builders of modern India. In fact, 23rd December every year, that is his birth anniversary, is observed as Kisan Divas or Farmers Day in India. His Samadhi is called Kisan Ghat along the same patch of Jamna where the great leaders of India have their last resting places. It's just that people, his followers, and also all those who seek votes in the Farmers' Day have forgotten his legacy and the Farmers' Day as well. Now, the Jats gave you one Prime Minister, I told you, and a very powerful minister before that over a long time. He had also been Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, set up his own party in mid-60s, Bharatiya Kranti Dal, which actually became the first of these caste-based challengers to the Congress party's vote banks, because Bharatiya Kranti Dal at that point dominated, one, the Jat voters in Uttar Pradesh. Second, it encouraged Jat leaders to rise in Haryana on their own, Devilal to begin with. And third, because of their social dominance in Western UP, they were able to control the election process. So the big challenge in those decades used to be what kind of an election can you have conducted in say Bagpat, which was Charan Singh's constituency, because those were lathi elections. In fact, that is when famous cartoonists would draw cartoons like, so by how many booths have you won today, because booth capturing was then a very successful pursuit. So with a combination of all that, the community punched above its weight. Now, in the same time period, generally, Bansi Lal from Haryana is a small state. Haryana only sends 10 MPs to national parliament, but the strong man from Haryana, Bansi Lal, in the Congress party became Defence Minister of India and Mrs. Gandhi's most powerful cabinet colleague during the emergency. Once again, he left the Congress, set up his own party, Haryana Vikas Party, came back to Congress, but kept power. So Jats again had the sense that they had the power in Haryana. Similarly, in Western UP, the power came from the dynasty that Charan Singh founded. So after Charan Singh, it was his son Ajit Singh who had many spells as a central minister. Now there is Jayant Chaudhary. It has so happened that over the past 7-8 years, this power has declined dramatically, and you can see how. Let's start with Haryana. In Haryana, Narendra Modi in 2019 swept the Lok Sabha election. 10 out of 10, the perfect tens, the perfect score. But out of the 10, only 2 are Jats. One is the MP Brijinder Singh from Hisar, the other is Dharamveer from Bhiwani. All the others are non-Jats. Similarly, if you look at Uttar Pradesh, say about 25 seats in Western UP, 25 to 26 are seats which have a substantial number of Jat votes. But how many Jat MPs has the BJP got elected there? BJP won 60 seats out of 80 in UP, and some its partners won. BJP has only got 5 Jats elected from Western UP, and these 5 include Sanjeev Balyan, who is the MP from Muzaffarnagar and also is a Minister of State, and I will tell you for what. But also these 5 include Hema Malini. Hema Malini and Jat, she was born in Tamil Brahmin, but she is married to a Jat, that is Dharmendra, who is a Jat Sikh. So BJP has got her elected twice as a Jat Bahu from Mathura, in fact even defeating Jayant Chaudhary, who is a legatee of the Charan Singh dynasty. So each one of these leaders built dynasties, not so much in Rajasthan, because in Rajasthan the Jats are also very widespread, but each one of these leaders in Haryana and Western Uttar Pradesh built dynasties. Those dynasties have now declined since the rise of the BJP under Modi and Shah, where a lot of the Jats are willing to vote for Narendra Modi on grounds of nationalism or religion, or as in the case of Western UP, both. So in fact, while you read about the Mahapanchayat being held today in Muzaffarnagar, which decided to support Mahendra Singh Tikait's son Rakesh Tikait, the last Mahapanchayat was held in Muzaffarnagar by the same Khaps in 2013, and that led to the riots and mayhem against the Muslim population there. So that is the combined sentiment of nationalism and religion that BJP has been able to ride in Western UP and Haryana. In the process, the local Jat leaders have lost their power. Now, you don't ask me the question, Jaton ko gussa kyun aata hai? So a lot of the protest that you see right now against the farm bills also is a kind of reassertion of Jat political impulse, because Jats who think they have lost power, they become politically disenfranchised in terms of their role in the power structure. They want it back, and they think for them to get it back, one is of course caste, but you don't talk about that so openly. It's only reckless people like me who do that. But also farming, agriculture is something that you talk about, because after all, who was Chaudhary Charan Singh? He was a agricultural leader. In fact, Chaudhary Charan Singh's big dispute with Jawaharlal Nehru when he was in the Congress was over precisely this. In the 50s, when he fought with Nehru, he would have been called a reformer, in fact, because Nehru wanted a Soviet style economy, cooperatives, whereas Chaudhary Charan Singh believed that the interests of Indian agriculture and Indian farmer will be best served if the cultivator also is the owner of the land. All this cooperative Soviet style system will not work. So in fact, his dispute was with Nehru over Nehru's overly socialist economic policies. Anyway, let's skip those decades and come back to the present. So you have a situation now, if you look around Delhi, there is no prominent Jat leader in any of the states. Leave Punjab aside, Amrinder Singh is a Jat, and the Badals are Jats. So leave Punjab aside. But in none of these states around Delhi is there a prominent Jat leader. See what happened to Jat political power. See Narendra Modi's cabinet. Narendra Modi's cabinet today does not have a Jat cabinet minister. It had one earlier, Chaudhary Birender Singh, who is from an illustrious dynasty in Haryana, from Sir Chotu Ram's dynasty in Haryana, but he is no longer a minister. Why? Because his son Brijinder Singh was given the BJP ticket. He is an MP from Hisar. So BJP does not have a Jat as a cabinet minister. It has 2 ministers of state who are Jats, and I told you that I will come back to the portfolio business for Sanjeev Balyan. Now Sanjeev Balyan is one of those, and second is a gentleman called Kailash Chaudhary, who is the BJP MP from Bardmer in Rajasthan. Both of these are ministers of state. Now Sanjeev Balyan is a minister of state, but in charge of what? In the Modi cabinet? Animal husbandry and veterinary portfolios. He also has a PhD in veterinary anatomy. So far, so good. But then you look at the Yogi cabinet in Uttar Pradesh. Who are the two most prominent Jat leaders there? One is Lakshmi Narayan Chaudhary. What portfolio does he have? Animal husbandry. So Jats are left to look after animal husbandry at the center, and in the state, the other Jat minister of some prominence in the Yogi cabinet is Chaudhary Bhupinder Singh, who is Panchayat minister. So again, nobody there who has real power in Uttar Pradesh. The Jats of Western UP, you now see how they feel, the way they feel. Even the other Minister of State in Narendra Modi's Council of Ministers, Kailash Chaudhary, is also Minister of State for Agriculture and Farmers Affairs. So you can see that there is no Jat today holding a key political position anywhere out of Rajasthan or out of Western UP. I will come to Haryana, and one of the indications of that is how now there are 7 Jat MPs in Rajasthan out of 25. BJP and its allies, as we know, won all 25. The 7 Jat MPs in Rajasthan, BJP has 6 of them. 7th was a man called Hanuman Benibal, who had a tiny party of his own. If I may remind you, he is the one who recently left NDA, saying that he could not betray the farmers over farmers' bills, and he supports their demand, so he left NDA. Similarly, we saw in Haryana Chaudhary Birinder Singh, the veteran whose son is a BJP MP now. He also said that he will be supporting the farmers against the farm bills because he is ultimately a farmer. Now, what's happening in Haryana is more interesting. BJP tried a new experiment in Haryana. Haryana rarely has a non-Jat chief minister. In fact, early on, as the state was formed, it had a couple of spells of non-Jat chief ministers, but those did not last. So barring these short spells of Rao Birinder Singh for some time, who is an Ahir or a Yadav from southern Haryana, or Chaudhary Bhajan Lal, who wasn't a Jat, he was a Bishnoi. He lasted a full term and more. But other non-Jats have not lasted. So Haryana politics, the center of gravity in Haryana politics has always been with a Jat leader. It could be Devi Lal, it could be Bansi Lal, it could be a member of any of the dynasties founded by them, and then came a third dynasty, that was the Huda dynasty, which had 2 terms in power in Haryana. So these were Haryana's Jat dynasties. What did the BJP do? When the BJP won their first election in Haryana in 2014, against the run of play in a way, because they had never won in Haryana, but they won in the Modi way, they decided to put a non-Jat as the chief minister, a Punjabi as the chief minister. In the second term, again they continued on with that. But as we saw in 2019 in state assembly elections, BJP failed to get a majority. Because they failed to get a majority and Congress was not that far behind, and a third party got 10 seats. That party is called Jananayak Janata Party, JJP. That is headed by Dushyant Chautala. Who's Dushyant Chautala? Dushyant Chautala is the great-grandson of Chaudhary Devilal. So of the dynasty he founded, Chaudhary Devilal, then his legatee, there were others who fell by the wayside, but his legatee was Om Prakash Chautala, who also became the chief minister. Then Om Prakash Chautala's next generation is Abhay and Ajay Chautala. One of them is in jail, one of them was an MLA but just resigned his seat in Haryana Assembly in protest against farm bills. That is Abhay Chautala, and you will read a story about that from Chitleen Sethi on the print.in today. I will also share it with you. So his next generation, that is Digvijay Chautala and Dushyant Chautala, these are sons of Ajay Chautala. They formed a new party which is called JJP. This party won 10 seats. Now 10 seats may not look like that much, but in a house of 90 where BJP is about 10 short of a majority or 10 or 12 short of a majority, these 10 become very important leverage. So you have a situation where Dushyant Chautala set up a coalition, became the deputy chief minister with just 10 MLAs and is holding more portfolios than the number of MLAs he has, and the portfolios he has are the portfolios which in Haryana or Punjab or any state would be called all the Malai and Makhan portfolios. This is revenue, excise and taxation, industry and development, panchayat affairs. He's got everything with him. So you can say that how can the Jats complain in Haryana that they don't have power? But power in our states comes with chief ministership. And JJP and Dushyant Chautala are not seen as Jat leaders. In fact, they are right now under extreme pressure from the Jat voters in Haryana. And the fact that his uncle has now resigned, it also tells you that it's the first time in Haryana's history that nobody from Devilal's party, a party that Devilal founded, nobody from that party is a member in the state assembly. So that party was a legatee of the Jat vote in Haryana. So that is the picture that you see unfolding around Delhi right now, because when you see what's happening at Ghazipur, when you see what's happening on the other borders of Haryana, when you see anger rising among farmers in western UP and partly in Haryana, you also know that it is rooted in deeper politics, and the cause in the deeper politics is a feeling of a loss of political power or political dominance in their own pocket boroughs. And while Charan Singh from UP became Prime Minister of India, also from a much smaller state, Haryana, Devilal became Deputy Prime Minister of India. Don't forget that, albeit again not for very long. Yet another dynasty was formed by the Jats again in the vicinity of Delhi, and that was formed by Mahendra Singh Tikait in late 80s. Around time sort of Rajiv Gandhi's star was dimming. By 1988, Rajiv Gandhi's Congress party was very weak, and it was quite evident that he would have a tough time getting a second term. At that point, Mahendra Singh Tikait rose and came and laid siege to Lutyens' Delhi. In fact, he brought in 500,000 people who sat in the boat club for I think 30 plus days and got almost all its demands accepted by a very weak government, a doddering government of Rajiv Gandhi's, and these demands included things like free power, which have sustained until now. So once again, these are examples that tell you of the extraordinary power that this scattered caste group has wielded in national politics. While I know that you know this already, Rakesh and Naresh Tikait are the sons of Mahendra Singh Tikait. So that dynasty also continues. This dynasty never became electorally or politically powerful. It never had political power, but it can always be trusted to muster up street power, and that comes from their khaps or their panchayats or their gotras or their subcaste and caste groups.